Father Cairn and Michael O'Shea were two very strong-headed people, and I think it was two very strong fusions meeting together, and there was an explosion. Possibly, if any one of the two of them had been different, I think that the whole thing might have never happened.
My father was hurt, my mother was hurt, and now it continues on. I'm deeply hurt.
Fanore, Iarthúscart an chlár, 1950. I bhfad agéin tá cogadh mór ag réab a leis. Ach ní fada go réab for pobl Fanore le cogadh agad féin.
Lost in a lullaby.
There's a spot in old Ireland, they call it Morocco.
Tá legan amháin de cháscoil anóir daingníthe sa bhéileadis. Scéal é a scuilt pobl in 1950. Scéal é bhfuil daoine fós ag airí tóca faoi, nócha bliain níos dearnaí. Ach le daoine tháinig fianaise nuach an solis as cartlainn aglaise, fianaise a chahan áras ar an legan cotíonnta den scéal, agus a haingíonn ceistena anuas faoin na príomh chearachtéirí. 1950 agus sé Michael O'Shea an príomhide sa Scoil Náisiúnta. Tá Cónaíar I dig efagúil an bhúntóra. Si dília Leonard an tarna bhúntóir sa scoil, agus í chur fuhaí I dig eile sa phróiste. Sé an tathair Ciaran an sagart próiste, agus marbach an áca gan nám, sé banistóir na scoile é. De réir an legan den scéal a chretar go forlahan, Hastig an sagart go bósach an Maestro O'Shea an múntar eile, Delia Leonard. Scríb O'Shea an cúntas seo in Irish and INTO.
He often spoke to me of the desirability of teachers in the same school being married, and on one occasion plainly told me that the official residence was not built for one teacher alone.
The Yultig O'Shea, Delia Leonard a Fosa, the rare chuntas féin. Ag an am, bhí sé ag siúlamach le Cailín Áitiúil, Katie McDonough. Lurach sé cadó na haar Ciaraní a Fosa, ach dúltaíocht dó. Nuair a tháinig an sagart ar chuirt chun na scoile, bhí sé na rac atarthú.
He sharply inquired if I had forgotten his mind regarding my marriage and if I had considered my tenure in Fanore. On stating that I consider it monstrous my tenure should depend on my marriage, he excitedly exclaimed, "Well then, we must part." He thereupon returned to the schoolroom, tore a sheet from the assistant scribbler, wrote on it a 3 months' notice, and threw it at me.
You can't do this to me! Get out of my school!
Hain an tathair Ciaran go láidir an legan seo den scéal. Níor fós O'Shea Delia Leonard, ach pósfuai féin agus a lean an Katie go luath na dhia sin. Bhí an sagart agus tismothirí Katie I gcuine an fósta. She Kay O'Shea Ineen Michael agus Katie.
My mother's family disowned her because she was supposed to marry a local farmer, a wealthy farmer, as far as I hear. And she didn't love the man, and she didn't want to marry him. So she married someone as lowly as a teacher, my father. That is the true story.
That's not going to happen as long as I'm in charge in this parish. Mark my words on that. I'm telling you for me.
An fianaise amháin atá going gur tharla an rud sin ná fianaise Micheál O'Shea féin. So sinne ní léon fianaise eile going faoi sin. Chred beag nach gachtaine ar a simige nó cé sa scéal seo credidir gur mar sin a tharla gur thosaigh an conspóid leis an achtar seo. Ach má dhéachann tú ar na cápéisí sa dóise in Gaillimh, fáin tú crut ar fad eile sa scéal.
Níor tháinig na cápéisí chun solis go dtí am léana, nuair a fáiltíodh leabhar conspóideach faoi an gás, leabhar a chas smáil ar léoch áitiúil dorla na loch tacaíochta. I measc na gápéis tá scata tuairisc efagúil a chahan áras ar éifeachtaí hé mar bhúntar.
Bhí sé sin ag talú ag an am ins na scoilin ag go léir sílam. Agus má écha míad ar an scéal arís, fuair míhallá sé túriscí nuair a cuireann na le, nach raibh sé cólína a cuidúlga sí. Agus cuir sé na túriscí sin chuig an tespach. Agus bhí an tespach a bhíl. Go raibh sé ag cólína a cuidúlga sí.
Come on, walk on. I think the clergy, they couldn't very well say that, oh, he wouldn't marry that lady, so we had to sack him. You know, they couldn't say that. And I'm not saying that I'm sure that's the cause of it. But there had to be something in it.
Chuig an Rheine dachas ag an am sin riamh I gcuine na haglaise. Agus an freagratáir an gceis sin ná chuig. Bhí an aglas agus an stáid bhíidir a réan le chéile.
Ach bhí fianaise níos tromchúisí fós I gcuine ó sé sa chartlan, ní bháin greibh a chumas múntóireachta fiionsaí. Bhí líomhant níos measa a churna le. Meiscóireacht.
Má échan tú ar an bhíine sé I déobh míhallá sé féin. Go raibh sé I gcónaí ar meisce sús an baile, go raibh sé ar meisce sa scoil agus mar sin de. Well, ní leon árasach gur hála sé seo, ach gur hála sé seo I cuid dá héal saolh ar óig a raibh roinnt an fianta sa baint leis, mar a bhíonn ag go leor féróga. Agus an digan sé tá rágam ná go raibh scéal I bhd níos castan mar a chretar go minic.
You know, I drink, and I often got drunk. But I wouldn't be drunk every day. I wouldn't be drunk doing this job, you know? So maybe he had a few jars with someone after, it could be after anything, after a match or after anything. Any social event. He could have a few pints. There was nothing wrong with that. But any of the publicans that he visited gave an account of, in Lisdoonvarna, you know, they never saw the sign of drinking him. I don't believe at all that he had drink taken in the school. The people wouldn't allow their children to go to him.
My father never took a drink in his home, and he never went out to drink. So I never saw my father taking a drink in any sort, or even if we went to a wedding, you know, a family wedding or anything we went to, my father never took a drink, never in his life, and never talked about drink. And neither did my mother refer to any former days that we're now reading of in this book of his drinking.
Curú le ó sé freisin, go mbeadh sé ar thorna man.
My father wasn't a womanizer ever in my lifetime, and I know that my mother's two sisters came to my father for extra tuition. They were the only people I ever heard my mother talk about. She used to talk about her sisters coming to the school and, you know, getting extra tuition from my father.
His wife had a couple of sisters. And normally you wouldn't go out, maybe at that time, maybe you couldn't go to meet a man without bringing your sisters, because you weren't maybe supposed to be going there anyway. You were going some other where. So all that, you know, can be accounted for. I mean, that was exaggerated. Well, I'd say too. He had the one woman and he married her.
Cén fá greibh an sagart seo cho dingmháilte I gcuine I hé. Ceir bhíad fíor fechaí an bhúntóirde I gcuine na haglaise agus na measúlachta.
Béidir go raibh anolc ar an aglas agus ar an sagart próiste agus béidir ar an espa. Faoin slí ina cha ó sé leis na cosmhaintear an digan tú go raibh sé sort anarchic mar a dtéartha in sa bhróiste. Tháinig mícheála sé go dtí an áit seo. Agus in áit dul chuig an establishment mar a dtéartha, chuig sé láthrach bán go dtí na hiascarí na tinánta beaga an cosmhaintear. Agus chuig siad amach ag iascrach ló ina gcuid corachaí, chuig sé ag óleons na poban. Agus is ina measc a raibh sé I gcónaí, bhí sé I gcónaí ar thóir mná mar léire. So is é sin an rud is eistí faoin scéal. Agus bhí ó sé agus cosmhaintear Fanore anna bháil in na chéile, bhí siad bhí anna bheasacha ar a chéile. Agus is é sin an fá gur cheas siad leis sa chunspóid go léir, ar feig na chunspóide go léir.
Bhí dhearanní de cúideag, bhí an fógra tríhí a tugúda ó sé rite, ach dúltaigh sé ochar chun na scoile a thuairt ar lámh den sagart. Bhí a heft féin ag an sagart áfach chun sealamh a ghlacha ar an scoil.
So he goes out to the horse and trap and he takes out his sledge. And he brings the sledge in and breaks the door. He must expect something like that when he brought the sledge, because you could get the loan of a sledge from anybody, anywhere, around at the time, because that was their job, breaking them rocks up there and making roads with them. He didn't have to bring it from Ballyvaughan only for he wanted it for a purpose. And he sure used it.
Bhí sin a chugad daragan ish. Dátaigh loch lenún í hé ar dília Leonard gan an scoile oscailt, ach dúltaigh si. I lormí fiara, bhí bheag ná gortaíoch go duna í, nuair a cathú cloch trína faineog.
Béidir go raibh tionchar speisialta ag an sagart an bhean sin freisin gur duine í a bhí ag bra ar an sagart próiste chun a posta cumáid agus bhí si ag fannacht I deach freisin go leis an próiste é.
Tháinig múntar óg Gerard Lee go Fanore chun áit feiceal ó sé a ghlacha. Níorbh cuinear bithéige leis an ide a bhí riimiis amach. Mac le Gerard Lee is se an tathair Robert Lee.
Glachadar maithir body and bones mar deará. Is caidir amach éin seo ar an glós seo. Agus an sin chuir amach ar an móthir agus chuir de síos móthir dró Ballyvaughan.
They probably gave him a few boxes, you know, chucked him around a bit. But I don't think they injured him too much, you know. And they let him know where he stood anyway. And that you're not teaching here and that's it.
Bhí maithir an óg fichi hen blian díos agus an ige bhfuair sé mar deartha dúr annach sé an seán. Bhain sé leis an gan béidir agus an meas a bhí ag na daoine ar Micheál sé agus bhí maithir teach mar strán séir agus bhí de rá go res Conamara é agus ní aon bhainte go bhéiteach go Fanore mar deartha.
Má échan tú ar na daoine a rinne an búla ar an múinteoir nua. Má échan tú ar na garmacha bethe bhíocha, mic fermióirí beaga, nó sclábha ferme a bhíonta. Daoine nach raibh mór an dóchas a chus saoil, na daoine nach raibh an andach an bádbán nó ar na Bretaine. Agus cúig duine nó Bertacha is deach an ar na Bretaine. So, bhí an teannas sosiálta go han tábhachtach in san an achtar seo. Agus I ri an scéal ar fad.
Béidir nach rá mé an smíanamhar gan deor a chathú agus ní mé tá mé an gáda bheith silin in deorraigh an nóméid seo. Mar gheall ar.
Bhí an pobl scuilte inis. A bhórmhar taú le ó sé. Dentar chuir síos sa bhéile is ar achtra a tharla I Ballyvaughan, nuair chur roinnt fear as Fanore a bharog leis an sagart próiste inúl.
You know, it was like a civil war, if you like, which we had as well. But it put people against each other, you know. It was very easy to do that time, you know. Well, it wasn't easy, but like when you split a school and had a case like that, and that kind of agitation in the place, you were bound to put, it was bound to cause, I said there was a lot of arguments in our local pub, and any horse fair or cattle fair or anything that would be around, it put them against each other, and it went on for a good few years as well, you know.
Dair carchaman na múntóirí an INTO sáte san achran héamh Michael O'Shea. Bhí tábhacht níos mú leis an scéal ná post bhúntóir amháin.
Tá sé fíor háach is dar go an múntóirí ar mar hála an cás seo. Díreach cúpla bliana tar éis an minút resolution a chur le chéile. Agus bin an céad cóin tú, idir cuman na múntóirí agus an Aglis. Nach meach de cead ag banistóir sé sin sagart. Múntóir a bhrise as a fost. Gan cead áil rihré ón Aspag.
Léiríonn an córagras idir an INTO agus an Joise an gráim daingan a bhí ag an Aglis ar chuirsaí a dachais. Ach an bhfuil sé roéasca sa lá tá Johann an locht ar fad a chur ar an Aglis fion méid a hála.
Tá míad ag síne an bhéir I gcór banistóireacht na scoile, agus bhí an Aglis ag obair mar banistóirí na scoile. So bhuine banistóirí na scoile an botún. Níor thug siad seans don tús le sé féin a chosant go de leach. Agus sin a hála, agus sin a bunús an scéal. Is cumme céhiad, ach is an Aglis bhí a gceist ag an am. Bhí an sagart próiste ann, agus cóla mé gur fearr dúr a bhí ann, agus bhí an taspig fitte fuite leis freisin. Ach níor clí siad le rialacha na scoile. So is iadsan atá ciontach.
Bhí O'Shea anis gan scoile fagúil. Ní raibh sé ré le géile áfach. Bhunaigh sé scoil rasúra mar a tugahhair I dtí an bhúntóra, agus hacaigh pobl na háite go tréan leis.
Dimig, 75 fangéad den na páistí a bhí amúna aige. Dimig siad leis go dtí an scoil nua a bhunaigh sé, nuair a bhise as a foste. Agus is crothúéis sin go raibh anna bheas ag na páistí agus na daoine áitiúla ar.
Tar éis achar ama, dairigh leis an sagart O'Shea a dhíbert as tuig an bhúntóra. Bhí an pobl áitiúil chomh daingan ina ábhar áfach, gur thugad ar scoil do chuid féin dó.
The school that was built in my father's land. You know, over there, they call it the hut, Jack Quayley's Hill.
Thugad ar scoil dó. In enam dé nach bhfuil sé sin Jackar a chreidút ag an am sin, gur thug daoine bochta, thugad ar aimimid isteach trí fort lis canúr, agus thugad ar scoil beag dó, agus chuig na daltaí ann. Cé gur raibh an Aglis a rá ón altóir don na tistí, gan na páistí a ligand don scoil sin. Dá mé ag aon duine ag lorg fianaise faoi cosfuintear na háite agus an seasamh bhí acu ag an am. Sin é an fianaise, go raibh ar sásta seasamh suas I gcuine an stáit ar bhealach ar slí amháin, agus I gcuine na haglaise ar an slí eile.
Bhí ine ar an gléir gur bh sé fós ábalta a núthlán na thuairt, dhéirigh ar an ghuimhlint. Lá an chorneirtithe dhiúltaigh an taspag an sacrament de fáistí I scoilí hé. Chuoi ahar amháin le bánaí.
I can't confirm yet. Holy. Keep your sacraments. Keep your sacraments. Come on, Nicole! Come on!
Well, ní hé gur scuilt siad go tabhail. Bhí scuilt an leis na blianta. Sa bhéad is go bhíonn scuilt I gánaí idir daoine bochta agus daoine sebhre a bhíonn ibaróiste amháin. Sin bacúiste sin scuilt.
Ardíoch ceistena sa Parliament ag Westminster meall ar an gunspóid, mar thura ar sin, tionólú fistrucháin peibli fi an gás I mbaile I bhecháin ag deireadh 1915. Chúla an fistrucháin go leor fianaise I bhábhar I hé, agus go leor ina chuine freisin.
Well-known, frequent and grave excess in drinking. Mr. O'Shea associates with the roughest class in the parish. Assault, violence, and intimidation. Receiving frequent visits from women and other irregularities. Running of an opposition school in a bar. He frequents people capable of committing outrage.
these people were groomed to give that evidence, of course. And I have no doubt about that, really. And if my father was such an inefficient teacher, as was said there, I find it amazing that he was appointed to an Moscow Corkig and taught there under great credit for the rest of his life.
Vi dúlige sanol, agus vi dúlige snamana, garrod atá fullain galore I ferróg da hais. Agus ni len áras ach gynnecha sé har fórleo, ach dírach mar a dhéanaan alán ferróga yn sy'n lehan ta seo mar a rinne si riamh sa stair. So, sort phase in a héal a harle Mihála sé agus a harle Mihála sé agus Fanore.
Has an fistrúcháin leis an gine go mris fio sé as a fost. Lan sé ag múne ina scoil rasúra, ach dígar níg chánig laidú líon an altaí. Glúas na nídig fehedí began do an scoil a rúne, agus dag sé Fanore den uair dhearnach.
I feel very emotional today, I really do, you know. I think of my mother and father, a young couple, very much in love and very happy, starting out their lives here. In this house, I'm sitting here today, 90 years on, and I've only the happiest memory of my parents, and I know that they were very, very happy together, and they must have been very happy here in the beginning of their lives. Well, my father's career, of course, was blighted by what happened, and they were driven out of it, Faulkner, which was very, very sad. And that feeling is pouring over me here today.
Níos luithe imlíana phléasc an chunspóid ina stelle bheithe go rís, nuair fáil siad leabhar nua fi an gás. Nocht an leabhar fineise tromchúiseach fio sé, nar tugu amach go dtí seo. Fineise a bhí tucha go rúnda ag scata duine áitiúil ina chuine. Fineise a ghuill go mór ar a chlán, agus a haring drochlú ar ó sé.
Michael O'Shea, to me, growing up, is and always will be a folk hero in Fanore. And there's nothing going to change that, no matter what I write, is not going to change that. And when I went into the archives, the evidence that came up to me in the archives, you know, suggested maybe that everything wasn't black and white that I thought of. And I think anyone that's worth their salt, if they see archives, I don't know how true they are. I don't know how true any of the stories. But, you know, when you start writing about somebody, it's up to you to tell it as you see it.
I feel deeply hurt. I feel so hurt about that book, and particularly the caption on the back of it, which shows my father as a habitual drinker and womanizer. I feel how deeply my parents were hurt. And it has continued on for 90 years, more than 90 years now, 100 years I suppose really. And that now I am hurt, and I am deeply hurt about all that, I must say. You know, I can get quite emotional, really, and I'm the only one left, and there is no one I can turn to and say, did you see what they wrote about Daddy?
Da mar rud ag an nuairt an sagart leis, nach meiste go deas an mechtú posta leis an chalín atá tar gúna éit scail. Beidir nach raise dáirí, nó ceapan héin nar chuir sé an íochail an é sin dhéana thurbe. Ach bé sin an bréig nó an camouflage nó gadair atá cos bantaide inis tré an contas dava chur ar fáúin le Joe Queally sa leabhar.
I told the story. The archives gave the information. Now, you know, I'm not asking anybody to believe the archives on either side, but I think in fairness to the whole episode of the Fanore School case, there were many victims, like poor Garrod O'Lee that was brought out, pulled out as well. You know, all those people had been put aside all these years, and their stories were never, ever told. And I think that the archives opened up a new look at that. Where the truth lies, God only knows.
Okay, what really happened here in 1915?
I suppose a churchman wanting his own way in many aspects of life and not getting it, and one teacher being brave enough. And I think that is the true story, you know? The man wanted his own way, he didn't get it, so this was his way of treating my father.